talk about the situation in the Middle East. Obviously, aid airdrops are going to take place. They're starting to take place. Will the RAF be directly involved in that?
I know some people have criticised, first of all, airdrops, and we know the only way to get sufficient quantities of aid into Gaza is for that blockade to end, for those vehicles to get in on the ground. The point about the airdrops is that we cannot wait. We've got to do something. It's an unconscionable situation. We can all see the lax inhumanity on display, and we've got to do things to do that. I don't know about the operational implementation of the airdrops. As a country, we're always standing by. We've put a lot into the humanitarian effort into Gaza, but I don't know exactly about the operational aspects of that. But look, I know people at home are thinking, they're so frustrated. How can we make a difference to this situation? And it is frustrating, but we are doing a lot with that's our actions we've taken towards the Israeli government on things like arms exports, licensing or sanctioning of extremist ministers. Put a lot of money into the aid effort as well. And most of all, we're working with partners to try and get the peaceful settlement we all need to see.
Essentially, you don't know. I guess, would you support direct RAF involvement? There's obviously a debate. Are we just issuing stark words? I guess the question here is, are we just going to send boxes of rice for other people to fly the planes, or are we going to step up and fly the planes?
Well, I believe we're working directly with the Jordanians on this. I don't know whether they would be the ones to distribute the aid in that way, and we might be supporting a logistical capacity, but I don't have the operational details of that.
What will the Prime Minister say to President Trump on this topic?
Well, first of all, you've got to recognise that the two ceasefires we had have come from the US, brokering those, working with Qatar and Egypt. So the US has already been actively engaged in this. We need the US. Only the US can really make the kind of breakthrough as a third country that we need to see in terms of the end of this conflict. They are the ones with real leverage in this. I think we would all accept and acknowledge that. When it comes, for instance, to our position, which is we want to recognise and will recognise a Palestinian state, that's something we're committed to as a government. The question is, how can we use that in a way that gives a genuine breakthrough to a real peaceful process? I know many countries around the world have already done this. To be frank, to be candid, that hasn't stopped the appalling scenes that we're talking about this morning. So we've got to use this moment. You're going to do it once, use it in a way that gets the breakthrough that we need, and the US is really important in that.
Should we threaten to pull out of our trade deal if he doesn't do more?
I don't think any one element of this gives the sufficient leverage. You're talking about our deal with the US in terms of that? No, I mean, I think our relationship with the US has many aspects to it: military, economic, security. The US is a key partner in so many parts of what we do, but the US itself wants to see an end to this conflict. I don't think we should characterise that view as anything other than that.
I'm interested, you said that the government is committed to recognising Palestine as a state. By when?
In a way that delivers a peaceful settlement to this conflict, which has gone on for far too long. So we're absolutely clear. Well, in this Parliament, yes. I mean, if it delivers the breakthrough that we need. But don't forget, we can only do this once. If we do it in a way which is tokenistic, doesn't produce the end to this conflict, where do we go to next? We've already ended arms exports. We've already sanctioned ministers. We've already pulled out of our further trade negotiation with Israel. You know, we want an end to this conflict. I think that's what people want to see. We want to use a very key moment like this in a way that gives not just what Palestinians need, what Israelis need as well. I mean, two-state solution is the only way. No matter how difficult that is the only way to end this conflict.
I wanted to ask about the doctors. Obviously, they've gone on strike. It looks like the nurses might follow suit. I wonder if you, as the business secretary, obviously speaking to businesses a lot, wonder whether you should rethink aspects of the Employment's Right Bill that might make striking more easier. There's one part in particular that looks at repealing the minimum service legislation for the NHS and might make striking doctors, nurses more common.
Well, first of all, it won't, because what that is linked to is the introduction of e-balloting. So those provisions are there in case there's a very low turnout and it's not representative. If you are having a system in place which uses kind of modern technology we're used to, you can guarantee a degree of participation, which takes that concern away. I would just say on this, I'm hugely frustrated by the resident doctors and the decision they've taken, given the improvements in the NHS over the last year and the pay deal that they got. You know, the number of days lost to industrial action under this government is half what it was to the previous Conservative government. So With Conservative
What, is
governments,
that prorated in terms of time in office?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, already on a total number of days. They had one of the worst periods for industrial relations in modern British history. Under the Conservative
You've done that on a per annum basis?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at it on any basis, total days, per annum. The Conservative Party's approach, always a lot of rhetoric, always a lot of tough talk. What it means is more strikes. You get more strikes under Conservative governments because of the way they mishandle industrial relations. Nobody wants to go on strike. My frustration with this industrial action is it's not as a last resort. You know, I think that is genuinely frustrating given the case and the issues involved here. But no one should believe or accept a Conservative argument that treating people with respect in the workplace leads to more industrial action. The opposite of that is true.
Johnny Reynolds, great to see you as always. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.